Hey there, it's Karen, and I am here with Whiskey Sour, who is ever so thankful for all your email. It's really super funny when I open up the normal STEVER music email, and it says, "Dear Whiskey Sour" in the subject line, or "Please forward to Whiskey Sour." And I think, oh, yeah, funny joke. Okay, I open up the email thinking it's going to be some serious business or something, and there's a real email to Whiskey Sour. So I think I might have to do some mailbag situation where I answer some of the Whiskey Sour fan mail. You know, I might have to do that in a different video, or he would really like to be able to get on camera, but he just can't. He just can't communicate that way, and it's not his fault, but he can't seem to do it. And he also apologizes. He doesn't have the dexterity in his paws, as you can see, to be able to type. And I always thought it would be cool for animals to have their own keyboards that are designed with just big buttons, you know, that just like kibble. I have fleas right now. Just whatever they want to say to communicate with their other cat and dog friends online. I think that would be something to look forward to. Yeah, strange. I spend too much time by myself, maybe. It's possible. I wrote a blog called The Heart of the Matter, which is inspired by a song of the same name by Don Henley and Mike Campbell. Classic song. Huge hit song that's been on the radio over the years, and it receives as much airplay now as I think as when it first came out. It's just everybody just seems to love it so much, and nobody seems to get sick of it. It's just one of those amazing songs. And when it comes on, it causes me to take a deep breath, and it causes me to relax, and that's, I think, a good song that evokes some kind of emotion. I have other songs that evoke different kinds of emotion, you know, anger and frustration and all those things, but this particular one always causes me to breathe deeply, and I love that. I know the lyrics, and I've heard the lyrics so many times, but some of the lyrics last night, particularly when I was listening to it, stuck out to me, and I wanted to read just a few of those that really popped. The first one was out of a verse where he says, "These times are so uncertain, there's a yearning undefined, people filled with rage. We all need a little tenderness, how can we survive in such a graceless age? The trust and self-assurance that can lead to happiness, they're the very things we kill, I guess. Pride and competition cannot fill these empty arms, and the work I put between us doesn't keep me warm." And then later on when he says, "I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter, because the flesh will get weak and the ashes will scatter. So I'm thinking about forgiveness. Forgiveness, even if you don't love me anymore." Fantastic song. And it spawned a lot of feelings, especially about forgiveness. And just when he said, in such a graceless age, I'm thinking about all these things that used to be awesome qualities within our spirits that just seem to be just fading. We haven't ditched them. We don't stand up at a podium and announce that we're ready to get rid of forgiveness and love and compassion and grace and all these things out of our vocabulary. But we just kind of phase them out. They're not trendy or they're not popular, so we just don't talk about them anymore. And so I wrote a blog just based on those particular lyrics that popped out at me, so I just want to read that to you. This is a song I remember my mother singing around the house. Mom loved it because of the forgiveness part of it. My mother's entire core was forgiveness. She could forgive anyone, and I watched it work for her about 1,000 times in a row. She kept doing it because it kept working, but she really kept doing it because she felt it was indicative of love and compassion. I've heard people call her a spineless jellyfish who would get walked on, but I guarantee you I have never met a soul on earth to date who had the solid character she had. And when all was said and done and we buried her, her character is what lived on, not anger and not a sense of injustice. Forgiveness is one of those topics that when you bring it up, you want to hide behind a shield or even a suit of armor to avoid the mega spears thrown at you. It's not because people are unwilling to forgive. I believe people are overall good, and they would love to be able to forgive. I think it's because the idea behind forgiveness conjures up all the hurts and pain from whatever has happened to us, and that's valid. Feeling hurt or terrorized by someone will absolutely bring on all the associated feelings. A person should not be made to feel guilty about being angry at being harmed. I just feel like when a person has hurt me, they gave me more than that one gift. Used loosely. They not only set down a very large basket at my front porch full of anger, sadness, and sleepless nights, but they keep sending me presents every day of the year in the form of bitterness. I really believe the act of forgiveness has been massively misinterpreted by society. Somewhere along the line, we equate forgiveness to hanging out on Saturday nights with that person who did this wrong. I look at forgiveness as a free gift, not as a free pass. When I say it's free, I don't feel it's earned. If you believe that forgiveness has to be earned, you might be confusing the actual meaning of the word with trust. And of course, these words have several meanings and several applications, so I won't generalize it too much there. But trust does have to go through its stages. She would say, let's start again. And it was a new beginning. And she wouldn't necessarily put the and forget part onto the end of forgive, because how can you forget something that someone did to you? That would be asking your brain to perform its own lobotomy. It's seldom physically possible to do. When someone gives trust or says something is forgotten, I believe that is grace. It's admirable but tough. Now when Don Henley's saying, because the flesh will get weak and the ashes will scatter, so I'm thinking about forgiveness even if you don't love me anymore, I believe he wanted to set things right before it was too late to do so. I've heard hundreds of stories from people who were tormented by having no closure when somebody they know dies. That never leaves and rarely fixes itself. I'm happy to say I have no regrets with my mom. Our relationship was next to perfect, and it's because she would forgive me, but then of course she'd keep a close eye on me. I bring up my mother a lot, and she's my biggest mentor, because I long to be like her. Her grace and compassion was given to those who didn't deserve it, and I would see them come into her hospital bed when she was dying and beg for forgiveness. She had already forgiven them and told them where she too was wrong in the situation. The look on someone's face leaving the room after experiencing that looked like they were seconds away from collapse. They simply couldn't put into words how exceptional she was. Why wouldn't I strive to capture that as a personal character and a goal to work towards? I would stand in the hospital staring back at them as they left, not surprised by how Mom would handle them, but because the power of her forgiveness would silence everyone. Powerful is not a word we usually associate with it. I've blogged before about how love seems to be a sign of weakness and what a prevailing force it is. I know forgiveness is really hard. I know it hurts so badly. We need love and compassion to heal our wounds after someone has hurt us, but I believe we need to show love and compassion to those who have hurt us so the world won't forget forgiveness. How will we ever know what it is if we haven't been forgiven? How will we ever know what to do if we haven't experienced it firsthand? The only thing that allows me to forgive someone is because I have been forgiven by someone, even though I didn't ask to be forgiven. I felt so undeserving of their forgiveness, and yet they showed it anyways. Now, for those of us who have hurt someone, we can speed up the process by at least asking for it. But isn't it overwhelmingly magical when it's just given? I believe it's our responsibility to pay that forward too. I'm really big on paying things forward. I've spent hours lying on my bed, staring at the ceiling, amazed by forgiveness, amazed by compassion, and humbled by the love I have been shown. It set me on a thought process where I started to see that more anger won't fix anything. Action is needed. But love historically has prevailed, and I believe it's about to make its biggest comeback. If for no other reason than we're just running out of options. Why are we so reluctant to go there? Is it to avoid future hurt? I don't think forgiving someone protects us from future problems, nor does it induce future hurt. It just seems to be its own thing. Maybe love never left, and the comeback is just in my life. And I signed off making shapes out of clouds. The quote that I used at the end of it is from Bernard Meltzer, who's a radio announcer. And he had a radio show where people would call in. One of the things he said was, when you forgive, you in no way change the past, but you sure do change the future. And I love that, so I added that onto the end of my blog today. You know, forgiveness has certainly been bastardized and lumped into relieving people of their consequences. And I don't want to diminish a victim's pain, and I don't want to, because I've been that person. I hated being told to forgive when I still didn't have a grip on what was done to me. And I think that's a tough thing, where you've gone through something really, really bad, and then you are expected to just give forgiveness to the person right away when you're not even ready. And I think the problem with that is that you haven't even processed everything that's happened to you and the abuse that you've gone through, or all those things. You haven't even been able to process that, or had the time to just heal a little bit. And so then all of a sudden somebody, whether it's your pastor or your parent or a friend or whatever, they're just like, use forgiveness. Just go and forgive them. You might not be ready for that. And it's really unfair to ask someone to do that ahead of their time, before they're ready to do that. So I really want to make sure that you guys understand that that's how I feel about things. So I never want it to come off, when I'm talking about forgiveness or compassion to undeserving people, a lot of people who say that, it's a process. It really is a process, and people should be allowed to go through their healing first. I just believe that if you can make forgiveness your ultimate goal down the road at some point, or entertain the thought at least, it's I can't express the elephant that used to sit on my chest that isn't there anymore, because I simply was able to extend that very thing that my mother did. And my mother never had an elephant sitting on her chest. She didn't have any enemies, not one. And that's unbelievable for the amount of people who have done her wrong. So I'm striving towards that. I have a tough time with it, because I am a justice seeker by nature. So I'm having a really tough time forgiving some of the people who have done me wrong, some particular ones who I still haven't quite got there. But I'm really feeling the weights lifting, so it's all good. So there may be a good chance that if you think what someone did to you was monstrously bad, the only way that you're going to release yourself of the weight is through forgiveness. And waiting for them to ask for it is highly unlikely. Almost never happens. Where you just wait and wait and wait, and it just never happens. So 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years could pass by, and you're still waiting for them to ask for forgiveness. It might be a long wait. So everybody's allowed to forgive or not forgive, but it is something certainly that I have been entertaining a lot more in my life, and I really did see it work for Mom. So I will leave it there today. I will chat with you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for all the love that you've been showing, and I will check in with you guys again tomorrow, and hope that you guys will get out on the playground. Alright? Till next time. Rock on.